Hey Canucks fans, let's talk about what the Canucks power play might look like next season. I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club. This is my Canucks take on one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Saturday, November the 21st. This is where you get Canucks insight that's positive and timely. Hope you're doing well. Hope your weekend has started well. I want to start off by inviting you to submit questions. Today's Saturday, that means tomorrow's Sunday, and that means it's time for my weekly Ask Me Anything vlog. So ask me anything, just put it down in the comments below, mark it AMA so I see it, and you can ask me about the Canucks, about the return to play, or January 1, COVID, why I'm so good looking, whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to ask, put it down there and I'll do my best to get to it in tomorrow's vlog. Okay, today I want to talk about the power play. I'm going to talk about the Canucks power play. Obviously a very important part of any team. And the Canucks had a good power play last season. Not the best, and I'll talk about that too, but I want to kind of predict what it might look like for this upcoming season. Okay, last year during the regular season, 4th overall in the league at 24%. So you certainly can't complain about how well they did. Obviously, a lot of a really good skill on that first power play unit with Pettersson, with Miller, with Hughes, with Horvat, and then Besser or Toffoli. It was Besser until he got hurt, Toffoli to end off the season. And, a lot of people like to joke around or complain about the drop pass, but you may have noticed that every single team in the NHL uses the drop pass in one way, shape, or form. And most of them on the power play, because simply, it might be annoying, or the once in a while that where it doesn't work, it looks like it's bad, but logically, you have one more skater than the team, 5 skaters versus 4. And therefore, you don't play man on man when you're trying to defend a power play when a team's entering the zone. So really, you should be able to do whatever you want. And if that means one guy picking up a head of steam coming through the neutral zone, then dropping it off to another guy who has even more head of steam, then you should be able to get it in, whether that player then brings it in or brings it around the board, and then you're outnumbering the other team. So I don't know why I go in on tangent for a minute on the drop pass, but I think it's fine, and I think it's funny when people complain about it. So once the Canucks are in the zone, last year we saw a configuration of, like I said, of Hughes up top, and then Miller on one wing, Pettersson on the other wing, usually Horvat in the bumper and Besser below, or reverse, Besser in the bumper and Horvat below. And I'll talk about that in a sec. So 24% in the regular season, good for 4th overall in the NHL. So you can't really complain about that, scoring on 1 out of every 4 chances. That percentage dropped to 20% in the postseason. 20% is not bad, 1 out of 5 now, still made for 9th overall in the postseason out of 2014. So that's not bad, actually, 9th overall. But it wasn't just the percentage, and it wasn't the placing, the relative ranking. It was the inopportune times that the Vancouver Canucks did not capitalize on the power play. And all you have to do, and you don't have to go through every single game, but all you have to do is look at Game 7 against the Vegas Golden Knights way back at the start of September, where the Canucks went 0 for 4 on their power play. And just remember, that was a 3-0 loss to Vegas, but it was only 1 goal by Shea Theodore and then 2 empty netters. So just imagine the Canucks capitalize on 1, or God forbid, even 2 of their power play chances. They could have won that game, and then it would be a different outcome, and who knows what would happen after that. So obviously the Vancouver Canucks power play, very, very important. Power play is very crucial to any team success. So I want to talk about what it might look like for next season. Now, the biggest factor we have to point out is obviously 2 factors, I'd say. Tyler Toffoli is not with the team. So my guess is that Brock Besser will regain his spot on the top unit. You'll remember when Besser and Toffoli both were healthy in the playoffs, Besser actually played on the second unit. That second unit wasn't great. It had like Pearson, Virtanen, Gaudette, and Edler, or maybe I think sometimes Roussel got in there as well, but it wasn't great. So now we're back to the original 5 on the power play. That's Quinn Hughes up top, Pettersson setting up shop on the right side there. We can unleash one-timers and or his wicked wrist shot. Then you have JT Miller usually on the left, and then some combination of Horvat and Besser playing one of them in the bumper and one of them playing either right in front of the net or beside the net. And those are obviously our main 5 players, our most skilled players. I've thought about I don't hardly any teams do this, but I think there are a couple that do. What about that old traditional 2 defensemen and 3 forward set? And then you get Edler, sorry, not Edler. You get Hughes and Schmidt playing together on the power play. They both can skate the puck out. They can both enter the zone. They're both really good at pivoting, at skating and turning and holding the line. And then you can actually spread out your forwards a little bit. You could actually have like a Horvat and Pettersson and Miller stay on the top line, and then Besser going to the second power play unit would strengthen them. Although I don't know who you'd have there. I guess it'd be Edler as your defenseman. But let's talk about that in a second. But first unit, let's presume it's still Hughes up top. And then the one thing you notice a lot of times, because teams cheated on PD and would try and take away his one-timer or even take away the passing lanes, a lot of times the power play started with Hughes and Miller playing in the middle to the left side. And Miller would often come up, gain some speed, start skating what we call downhill towards the net, and then he would do a quick back pass back to Hughes. And I can count many, many times where a power play goal was set up like that, where Miller would draw defenseman, he would do a behind the back pass to Hughes at the point, then Hughes over to the right side, and then now Pettersson has a bit more breathing room. So you could also, though, you could actually switch Brock Besser and JT Miller. And you could actually try Besser on the left side, on his one-timer side, because he's a righty, and try and get him to unleash some one-timers from there. And that he had a lot of success with that in his rookie season and not so much in his past 2 seasons. So you could see, I think you're obviously not moving Hughes, you're not moving Pettersson from the right side. So you could try Besser on that left side. And I wouldn't mind JT Miller being, goal line down and Horvat in the middle. Horvat's shown that he can play in the bumper. He can take, he can find open space. He's smart enough. He got a decent enough shot to get it off. And the one thing I really noticed, and I've talked about this many times in my vlogs last year, is JT Miller. He's an outstanding passer. He's got great vision, a great understanding of the game. And many of his assists last year, his primary assists, came from the goal line down or beside the net or behind the net. And if you just look at a lot of highlights from JT Miller from last season, you'll see a lot of passes came from there. So I would not be averse to trying Besser on the left side, and then Horvat in the bumper, and then JT Miller down below. And if that's not working, then go back to Old Faithful, put Miller on the left side boards, and then put Besser either in the bumper or down below the net. I guess in a combination of Besser and Horvat, I want Besser in the bumper and Horvat down near the net, because I think Horvat's a better net front player than Besser is. Besser needs a bit of time to get a shot off, as we know, too. So that's the first unit. So I guess my first question to you is, presuming Hughes and Pettersson retain their spots, who would you like to see on that left side? Do you want to stick it with JT Miller? Had some success with that? Or do you want to see Brock Besser there, which would utilize Besser's one-timer and utilize Miller's passing skills from behind the net, as I outlined? Then you go to the second unit. Doesn't look so good after that, because you need a center to win some draws unless they're changing on the fly. So I think you have Adam Gaudette there. And then you have Tanner Pearson, who can still, he's got decent scoring touch. So I put Pearson there. I put Virtanen there. So there's there's Virtanen, Gaudette, there's Pearson. I would give Tyler Mott a shot, honestly. I've been advocating for this. Give him some power play time. Give him some looks on the third line. And then you need a point man, and that would be Nate Schmidt then if you have Quinn Hughes on the top unit. So then you have Schmidt, Gaudette, Virtanen, Pearson, and someone like Tyler Mott. And I mentioned this many times in my vlogs last year and on Twitter. This would be a much more direct approach. I don't see a lot of drop passes. Well, maybe I don't see a lot of fancy passes through neutral zone. I see chip and chase. I see one guy trying to bowl it in. And I see a lot of direct avenues to the net. And that's the one thing I noticed last year is power play 2 would often be a lot more direct than power play 1. But power play 2, by definition, will only get 30 to 45 seconds of the time, as opposed to the first power play unit that will get 1:15 to 1:30 of the time. But I would love to know what your second unit would look like. I would put Schmidt up top. I would put Pearson on one wing. I'd put, maybe Virtanen on the other wing, so he can try and do one-timers. And then that leaves Gaudette and Mott to be a net front and bumper spot. So you can see the skill level does drop off quite a bit from our first unit to the second unit, but it's like that with every team, and that's why it's so important that the first unit does indeed capitalize on the opportunities. So Canucks fans, let me know what you think. Tell me what you think the first unit might look like. Tell me what the second unit might look like on the Canucks power play next season, presuming no more off-season changes. Leave a comment below. I'd love to read, react, and reply. Also leave a question for Ask Me Anything. Just mark it AMA for tomorrow. And otherwise, subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. Stay safe, stay healthy. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. God bless, and go Canucks go.